It's already a sign of a fantastic Washington Hebrew event when we can't stop talking to each other. But I'm going to go ahead and have us all start. For those of you I don't know, I'm Melissa Schwartz, a member of the Executive Committee, and honored to be the nominee to become First Vice President of Washington Hebrew this evening. And it is my distinct honor to call the 172nd annual meeting of the Washington Hebrew Congregation to order. And our first order of business would be for a motion to accept the minutes from the last annual meeting. Do I have a motion? Thank you. Do we have a second? Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed say no. The motion to accept the minutes from the 2023 annual meeting is approved. And now I will turn the bima over to Rabbi Shankman for an opening prayer.
Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Adonai our God and God of our ancestors, we have come into your sacred sanctuary to celebrate all those whose leadership and dedication enhances the fabric of our sacred community. Tonight, we honor all those who stand up to be counted. We are in the midst of much counting in the Jewish calendar. This evening marks day 41 of the counting of the Omer, the number of days from Passover to Shavuot. We also mark 239 days since the hostages were taken from Israel on October 7th, and the seats marked in the back of the sanctuary. And our Torah portion begins, the book of Numbers, Bamidbar, with a counting, a census, and names the chiefs who will represent each tribe, the Keruei Ha'edah, the elect of the congregation. And tonight, we too install our Keruei Ha'edah, the elect of our congregation. The biblical commentator Rashi explains this designation to mean they were the leaders invited to deliberate and decide matters affecting the whole congregation and community. There's a story told of a wise old gardener. He spent decades nurturing his garden, nurturing each plant with care, watching them grow tall and strong. And one day a young gardener approached him, eager to take over his duties. And the old gardener smiled and said, "The garden is yours now, but remember, a gardener's work is never truly finished. You will plant new seeds, but the roots I have laid will nourish them for years to come." Tonight, we are reminded that our roots at Washington Hebrew Congregation run deep. May those roots, through you, our leaders, continue to sustain us. We ask God to bless the leaders of our congregation with the compassion, wisdom, and fortitude needed to meet the challenges facing Washington Hebrew and the Jewish community in this moment. As we confront rising anti-Semitism and continue to demonstrate our support for Israel, may you have the courage to make the decisions and take the risks that will strengthen us not only today, but for the future. Holy One of blessing, bestow your blessing on our leaders. Instill in them insight and understanding, perseverance, as well as patience. Inspire them to work together in pursuit of our community's greatest aspirations, even as they watch over its daily needs. Oh God, we are thankful for the dedication and giving spirit that bring these individuals before you, prepared to devote their energies to your service and to the benefit of us all. Grant success to their endeavors and help them to lead us in the pursuit of our sacred mission. In gratitude for the opportunity to come together and embrace new leadership, I invite you all to join me in our prayer of thanksgiving, the Shehechianu. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, for giving us life, for sustaining us, and bringing us to this very sacred and special moment. Amen.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mark Director. I was president of our congregation before Lew Wiener of blessed memory. In a short while, I will be speaking with you in my capacity as chair of the nominating committee to introduce and call for a vote on our slate of distinguished nominees to assume lay leadership of our congregation for the next 2 years. Now, though, I want to say a few words about a person who was my dear friend, my trusted confidant and collaborator, and a remarkable person and trusted friend. Though not here physically tonight, Lew is very present with us. This annual meeting is a time to welcome new leadership and express gratitude to those leaders who are concluding their service to our congregation. By sharing some personal reflections about my relationship with Lew and my observations about his commitment to our community, I hope you will get a sense of how deeply Lew cared about Washington Hebrew and how much he gave of himself to help our community and to have a lasting impact on its future. During his remarkable life, Lew had an amazing, broad, and deep group of friends and admirers, and with good reason. I can easily and confidently say that I have never met anyone who took such joy in life, who cared so much about people, especially about his family and friends, and who poured everything he had and more into simply everything he did. I feel blessed to have had almost a decade to be part of Lew's life. Lew and I met each other as fellow Washington Hebrew board members, and over time we became very close friends and supported, cared for, challenged, guided, and admired each other. In 2018, when Lew was our general counsel and our congregation confronted a profound challenge to its foundational principles, Lew joined together with Nell Shapiro and with me to help navigate through a period of unrivaled turbulence in our community. Throughout, Lew was our rock. As he continued to circle the world to handle the responsibilities of his day job, his deep and joyous commitment to his family, and the additional remarkable charitable pro bono and other undertakings in his life, and despite unimaginable personal tragedy and the relentlessness of his illness, Lew remained always completely present, positive, and constantly thinking 2 steps ahead, deeply committed to ensuring that Washington Hebrew's future would be bright, no matter the obstacles or impediments. Having experienced the force of nature that was Lew Wiener, it was natural that when I was selected to succeed Nell Shapiro as our congregation's president, I ultimately turned to Lew and asked him to be my first vice president. And I am so thankful that he said yes. As the many enormous challenges of my term as president caused me to draw on every ounce of the tremendous skill that Lew had to help our congregation through and beyond that period of time. And I also would be remiss if I did not note how our dear friend Nell Shapiro basically extended her service for 2 years beyond the end of her presidency and joined with us constantly to help guide our congregation and provide critical additional perspective and wisdom. Personally, the connection among the 3 of us was unforgettable and enduring. For our congregation, it was essential. At all times, no matter the situation, Lew remained a calm, thoughtful, caring, and perceptive soul. He loved this congregation so deeply. And it was so important to him to have a chance to lead it and to help shape it. I still smile as I think back to the day when Lew and I met for a sandwich at Grand Central Station in New York, as we both began to break out of our COVID isolation and travel again for our day jobs. That's when I asked Lew if he would serve as first vice president. And instantly, he smiled, he hugged me, and he said thank you. He so wanted that role and so wanted to be on the path to presidency of this congregation. Having joined Washington Hebrew so many years earlier, when he was still a student, it seemed this was, in fact, his destiny. One he certainly created through his deeds and his dedication, but one that, in retrospect, clearly was meant to be. And I feel so fortunate that I just happened to be there at the time that it all happened, so I could share so much time and experience with Lew. I hope that as president of this congregation, I made a few good decisions. I know that one great decision that I made was asking Lew to be my partner. Lew's impact on our community has been enormous, fitting for a man who is both physically and intellectually imposing. Yet at the same time, he was also welcoming, warm, friendly, and joyous. He led efforts to reimagine our future. He chaired the committee that ultimately, with great care and thought, decided to elevate Sue Shankman to become our senior rabbi. He led a highly skilled team of lay leaders and outside professional advisors in managing and ultimately resolving the ECC litigation. He inspired, envisioned, and championed the evolution of many aspects of how we operate as a community. He partnered with our clergy to pursue new and exciting ways of worshiping and exploring our faith and spirituality. He championed a return to our community being present in person, to encouraging greater inclusiveness in our community, and to finding ways to make all feel welcomed, supported, and loved. He reinvigorated our committees, and he pushed our lay leadership to be even more involved and more creative than ever before. And he did all this with the utmost integrity and compassion, without hesitation, in the face of personal tragedy. He is, without question, the strongest person I have ever known. I feel blessed to have been able to lean on Lew and to be there for Lew to lean on, to have shared both our unfiltered emotions and our carefully considered advice and suggestions. We challenged each other and we supported each other in so many ways. And ultimately, this beloved, remarkable congregation is the beneficiary of Lew's creativity, his persistence, his devotion, and his love. I'd now like to ask Rabbi Shankman to join me. As a small but extraordinarily meaningful memory of all that Lew has done for Washington Hebrew, it is our privilege to honor Lew's memory by presenting Lew's wife and son, Elisa and Zach, I know they're here, I saw them, with the presidential gavel that our congregation traditionally gives to a congregational president at the end of the term of presidency. Elisa and Zach, Lew wielded this gavel with great wisdom and compassion. We hope that you will both treasure it as a symbol of Lew's lasting connection to our congregation and of the love we all have for your family. It has been our blessing to have been part of Lew's life, and your family is forever a cherished part of our communal fabric. Elise and Zach, you want to go?
Adonai oriv ishi mimi ira. Adonai is my strength and my light. Whom should I fear? Adonai oriv ishi mimi ira. Adonai
Jeff Weiss's official nomination as the next president of the congregation comes slightly later in this meeting. However, as our first vice president, Jeff stepped in when Lew's illness worsened, and I now call on him to chair the remainder of this meeting.
Following Lew Wiener as Washington Hebrew president is a very tall order, and I'll say more in my remarks later. I do so knowing that I have a special and unique opportunity to work. Take these off. That I've had a special and unique opportunity to work closely with the remarkable Lew, as well as with Mark, Director, and Nell Shapiro, and many other former presidents and talented leaders. Now we return to the annual meeting and the traditional agenda. We begin with the report from our treasurer, Eric Reising. Thank you, sir.
Well, good evening. And Mark, that was just really heartfelt. It was wonderful. And I know so many of us in the room love Lew and miss him right now. But good evening. My name is Eric Reising, and it's a great honor to serve as treasurer and a member of the executive committee of the board of directors of Washington Hebrew. And like Jeff, I went to Highland Park High School, and Josh Galper, our new general counsel, went to Highland Park High School. So I guess Highland Park is in the house. Go Giants. I would personally like to express my gratitude to the Budget and Finance Committee members and Lindsay Feldman and Drew Golub, our CFO, for their diligent work in managing the temple's finances. This is clearly not the same size for Lew, so I'm not used to being this far down with my 54-year-old eyes. The congregation's lay leadership, clergy, and staff have worked diligently to maintain our financial health while pursuing our sacred mission. As we celebrate our 173rd year, Washington Hebrew congregation remains a thriving center of Reform Jewish activity, connection, and community, offering impactful programming and services. Our senior staff and lay leadership and the Budget and Finance Committee have been working diligently to proactively address any financial concerns our temple may have. For this fiscal year, we're currently projected at $9.7 million in expenses and $10.2 million in revenue and endowment donations received, which include funds raised for the Israel Hesed Fund, a time where WHC decided to put our friends and family in Israel first. Over the past year, we've implemented new initiatives to address our accounts receivable and philanthropic goals. We've also replaced our dated accounting system this year with a new system that includes many intelligent upgrades, such as real-time monitoring of actual versus budget revenue and expense performance. And for those of you who are familiar, the yellow sheets go away in about a week. Leadership continues to take a very thoughtful and thorough approach to aligning our expenses with expected revenue for 2024 to 2025. The Budget and Finance Committee, and then later the Executive Committee, and then later the Board of Directors has approved a balanced operational budget of about $11.9 million in both revenue expenses for this upcoming fiscal year. It's important to note that member dues are expected to contribute only 36% of our revenue, 40% if you include the security contribution. That's why dinners like what we just had before are so important in making sure that we have physical health at our congregation. We are expanding our efforts over the coming year with the help of many people to foster a culture of philanthropy at the temple, which is essential to ensuring Washington Hebrew's financial strength in the medium and long term. The temple appreciates the members who have supported it by becoming sustaining members and donating to our newly renamed annual fund, the Lewis S. Wiener Annual Fund, in honor of former beloved President Lew Wiener. Under the senior staff leadership, we continue to modernize our financial systems and processes, and in the upcoming year, we expect to improve our financial reporting capabilities and modernize our congregation finances. Our investment portfolio is comprised of restricted and unrestricted funds. It is subject to an investment policy, which is monitored by our investment committee of lay leaders, and it's managed by Goldman Sachs. It stands at $19.8 million as of the end of May. A copy of our annual financial statements are available upon request. And personally, it's been a real privilege and an honor to serve as the congregation's treasurer, and the Budget and Finance Committee remains dedicated to ensuring that we have the resources needed to enable the congregation to fulfill its mission and make the world a better place in a fiscally responsible way. Thank you.
You're experienced with this.
Now we get the elevator.
This is Mark's.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. Our General Counsel, Andrew Lazaro, has provided steady, clear, and effective legal guidance to the congregation through complicated times. Among his other tasks, he coordinated a detailed review of the bylaws, which continues to review the review of Washington Hebrew's cornerstone documents begun 2 years ago. This outcome is a set of proposed bylaw changes that, as our Constitution specifies, were sent to all members of the congregation in advance of tonight's meeting. The impetus of these revisions is to help Washington Hebrew most effectively face the future needs of the congregation. Andrew is here to present both his report as the Washington Hebrew Congregation's General Counsel and as chair of the Bylaws Committee. Thank you.
Good evening. I am happy to report it has been a quiet year for the General Counsel, and it's been a quiet year since October 1st, 2023, because we resolved all of the ECC litigation at that time. At last year's meeting, I provided an update on the litigation arising from allegations of improper behavior by an employee of the Early Childhood Center at Macomb Street. I reported then that we had fully settled the lawsuit brought by the DC Attorney General and had settled with over half of the families that had filed lawsuits against WHC. It is my honor to provide what should be the final word on that chapter in our history. First, as we reported at the end of September, WHC reached full and final settlements with all of the remaining families. The court approved those settlements and dismissed the cases with prejudice. No other claims have been filed or even threatened since, and we do not expect any. We consider the matter closed. It is my honor to talk on this matter for the last time for a second and distinctly quite personal reason. The 3 WHC presidents who had to deal with that situation, Nell Shapiro, Mark Director, and Lew Wiener, set the tone for our response based on our core values of transparency, compassion, and justice. I was fortunate enough to witness their steadfast and compassionate leadership firsthand. This congregation owes them a debt of gratitude for leading us through that awful chapter. One person, however, was unfortunately intimately involved in the congregation's efforts from start to finish. At 4 p.m. on August 19th, 2018, WHC sent out the very first communication about the allegations that had surfaced just 4 days before. The email to the congregation asked members to contact then General Counsel Lew Wiener with any information or questions about the situation. Lew took the first call at his desk at home at 4:03 p.m. that day and did not get up from his desk until well after midnight. When I took over as General Counsel almost 2 years later, little did I know that the greatest blessing of my time on the WHC board would arise from this most challenging situation, getting to know and work closely with Lew Wiener. He made my job easy. There's no one I would want to be in the foxhole with more than Lew, and we became good friends. I love him for that, and I feel blessed for the short time I had with him. Like so many of you here tonight, I miss him dearly. Now, at the June 2022 annual meeting, the congregation approved amendments to our Constitution and bylaws aimed at bringing our voting and notice procedures into the 21st century, but it had been quite some time since there was an effort to substantively modernize our governing documents. At the direction of Lew Wiener and Jeff Weiss, I led a committee comprised of Rabbi Shankman, Lew, Jeff, board member, and hopefully very, very shortly, the next General Counsel, Josh Galper, Longtime board member, former general counsel, former treasurer, current assistant treasurer, I think I've got them all, Richard Newman, current treasurer Eric Reisen, and board member Ranit Schmelzer, to consider substantive changes to our Constitution and bylaws. The committee reviewed the governing documents from numerous other prominent Reform congregations in this area and around the country. We met a number of times and went through a number of rounds of revisions. After the executive committee and the full board overwhelmingly approved the proposed changes, we notified the congregation in the May Temple Journal of the proposed changes and asked for comments or questions. We did not receive any. I am pleased to highlight the key proposed changes before I ask, or maybe Jeff's going to ask, for a motion to approve and a vote. I don't know if they're going to go up, but they're supposed to. Okay, here we go. First, we propose changes that go to the core of our mission. You can see the proposed changes in color. We aligned the goal of the congregation outlined in Article 1 of the Constitution with the mission statement on our website. Next slide. Nice. We expanded the definition of individuals eligible for membership from only those of the Jewish faith to include those who embrace the Jewish faith. We, as an inclusive community, should ensure that those members who embrace the Jewish faith are treated as our equal partners in this sacred endeavor. And we deleted the reference to, quote, husband and wife, end quote, holding a family membership, because it is now fundamental to the fabric of our community that we are inclusive of all families, regardless of their makeup. Second, next slide. We propose to remove the requirement that the relationship of the congregation to the senior rabbi may be dissolved only through a congregational vote. The committee, which included Rabbi Shankman, the executive committee, and the full board, believed unanimously that the removal of a senior rabbi should be in the hands of the board as elected representatives of the congregation. Now, I certainly hope I do not need to say this, but I certainly will. This change is absolutely no reflection on our current awesome senior rabbi. Finally, we propose changes that conform the documents to WHC's existing practices. For example, the listing of officers named in the Constitution does not match the current officers of the congregation. Next slide, please. Likewise, the Constitution refers to, quote, sisterhood, end quote, even though that beloved group has changed its name to the Women of Washington Hebrew Congregation. And we now have affinity groups, even though such things did not exist 170 years ago or even 50 years ago. Finally, we are also proposing that board members and leaders of our auxiliary groups and affinity groups must be dues-paying members. I'm happy to take any questions.
Would you like to call for the vote?
Sure. Do I have a motion to approve the, oh, wait, is that a question or a motion? We have a motion to approve. We have a second. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries, and the bylaws and Constitution will reflect the changes. Thank you very much. I'm out.
Congratulations and thank you. So in today's political climate, questions of security for congregants, staff, and clergy are a major concern. It's so important that this year it made sense to ask Evan Winston, Chair of the Building and Grounds Committee that oversees security, to report to the annual meeting. Evan, please join me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Andrew wasn't kidding when he said he's out. Walk down and out. I just want to start the theme for tonight, say a quick thing. Lou asked me to serve on the executive committee. He asked me to chair Building and Grounds. He asked me to develop and run a security task force. So tonight I wear my suit in honor of Lou. Good evening. My name is Evan Winston. I've told you I'm a board member. I've told you I'm chair of the Building and Grounds Committee. I'm a third-generation member, and I care deeply for Washington Hebrew. I thought I would begin my remarks by providing a brief rundown of our WHC facilities, our mission, and our goals. We have several facilities that we're responsible for. Our primary building right here that you're sitting in, the Julia Suburban Bindeman Center in Potomac, Memorial Park in Washington, D.C., and we work extremely closely with our subsidiary Gardens of Remembrance Memorial Park located in Clarksburg. Our mission as a committee is to maintain, improve, and enhance the building and grounds of WHC in a professional manner with a special attention to safety and inclusivity of all congregants and visitors. Our team will focus on the maintenance and building improvements to provide for an inspiring and sacred, reflective and inspiring worship space that embraces the community and feel of our membership. Throughout this past year, I'm pleased to report we've started a partial renovation at the Bindeman Center, and I hope everyone has had an opportunity to see these wonderful first phase improvements. We've replaced an aging air handler unit in this wonderful Kaufman sanctuary that's almost complete, so I apologize if it's a little chilly for some of you. I'm quite comfortable, by the way. We also have embarked in a collaboration with the Nature Conservatory to implement a stormwater management upgrade at Memorial Gardens. Specifically, this initiative will enhance the beauty of this historic Jewish cemetery, provide clean water runoff, and we will receive tax credits, saving Washington Hebrew money. This is a true win-win-win for all involved. We will continue to work hard to maintain our building and grounds intentionally while also keeping a keen focus on our future capital long-term improvements. I previously mentioned safety when sharing in our mission. After the tragic events of October 7th, we felt the need to immediately form a security task force and take instant action. We hired one of the most reputable and prominent security consultants to provide a comprehensive threat assessment. I'm proud to report that while we have a lot to do, we have done a lot. WHC had already taken so many steps to ensure our safety. In fact, our team, especially our clergy, staff, and lay leaders, were repeatedly complimented on our current security measures, but perhaps most importantly, about the team commitment and focus that was in place. I'd like to take an opportunity to thank those that were already working so hard on our security and safety. All of our past presidents, past and current board members, and to our clergy and staff, you are doing and have done a stellar job, and I think I speak for the entire congregation when I say thank you. Nonetheless, there's a lot of work we need to do. We are all keenly aware of the current environments that our Jewish community is facing. Our beloved synagogue is well known. We are the largest in the area, one of the largest in the country, and we are proudly based in our nation's capital. While I cannot go deep into the security plans and initiatives, I can report that we are taking immediate action to continue to be best in class and a leader that other synagogues often turn to for advice and collaboration. WHC will be hiring a full-time director of security who will become ingrained in the fabric of our staff, clergy, and membership and offer full-time oversight to our safety. Additionally, our security task force will morph into a full-time safety committee that I will also chair and fall under Building and Grounds purview. This subcommittee will oversee physical and cybersecurity and continue to work closely with our safety director, security consultants, and local law enforcement. I would also like to mention that with these necessary security measures and along with our building and grounds needs, we require significant funding both now and in the future. We've been working very closely with Eric, our treasurer, and Drew, our CFO, Margaret Cohen, our philanthropy director, and also very closely with Jamie Hotchkiss, who chairs our philanthropy team. If there's anyone who has specific questions regarding buildings and grounds or safety, or if you're interested in serving on one of those committees, please feel free to contact me anytime. If you see any area of the synagogue that requires touch-up paint or a shrub that's not perfectly manicured, please text or call Rabbi Shankman or Lindsay Feldman, and they will be sure to contact me. Thank you all.
if you take out your pens, I'll give you Evan's cell phone number. So it's now time to talk about departing board members. Washington Hebrew Congregation is a volunteer organization. The work our member volunteers shape temple life, outreach to the community, and programming and operations. Volunteers on the board of directors give their time, energy, and hard work to help guide our activities and programs. Tonight we honor 3 outgoing members of the board, and if you're here, are they here? Please come up. Lindsay Ellen Bogan, Joe Frischheim, and Stephanie Perlmutter. Thank you for your service. It's now my privilege to introduce he who you've heard from, which is Mark Director, in his position as chairman of the nominating committee. Tonight is just one example of how blessed Washington Hebrew is to have lay leaders like Mark. He returns now as chairman of the nominating committee.
Thank you, Jeff. In accordance with our Constitution and bylaws, both prior to tonight and as amended, the President appointed the members of the congregation, seven members of the congregation, to serve on the nominating committee. The 6 committee members, in addition to myself as chair, Jen Burzog, Kellyanne Bolton, Adam Chase, Nick Ivanek, Sarah Lackritz, and Josh Maxey, worked hard and diligently on this important assignment and deserve our appreciation. We'll start the list of 2024 nominations with a video introduction to the 4 new members of the Board of Directors.
The temple feels like an extension of my home in a way. I guess the familiarity of it. It's just some place that I've gone and it really hasn't changed since my earliest memories of the synagogue.
It's important to me to be part of a Jewish community, and being kind of active in the at Washington Hebrew has been sort of increasingly something that I've valued.
I grew up at a very small congregation, and I'm excited to be able to meet a lot of new faces and a lot of different types of people at a much larger congregation. And I'm just excited to get more involved in my Jewish journey.
Last weekend, we had Rabbi Miller, who married us last year, do a baby naming ceremony for our daughter. And it's just such beautiful connective tissue that truly is door to door, generation to generation, for such an institution for Jewish lives in Washington.
Furthering some of what I see the clergy trying to do, which is to attract sort of the younger families and new families to the congregation, and to make going to temple something that people sort of weave into their everyday lives.
What the congregation to date has provided has been just absolutely incredible, and I'm really excited to be able to continue that contribution and finding new and innovative voices in the Jewish community to learn from.
My generation, and Gen Z, the generation below me, really likes to complain about things without rolling up their sleeves and doing the work. I think it's really easy to complain about what an institution isn't or what it doesn't have. And I think it's much harder to build what you want an institution to be.
For me, it's really about family and the experiences that we've had as a family, celebrating the holidays and celebrating those milestone events, and doing so with the support of our wonderful clergy and with the support support of other congregants at the synagogue.
It's taking care of like a garden that your parents or your family left behind in a way, and now it's your responsibility to help tend to it.
As I call your name, will the nominees please come to the bema to stand before the ark? The 2024 to 2026 slate of officers of the Washington Hebrew Congregation's Executive Committee are Jeff Weiss, President, Melissa Schwartz, First Vice President, Nancy Duber, Vice President, you guys can come up, Jamie Hotchkiss, Vice President, Dan Werner, Vice President, Eric Racing, Treasurer, Evan Winston, Assistant Treasurer, Kimberly Walken, Secretary, Tony Fleming, Assistant Secretary, and Josh Galper, General Counsel. They will serve along with new board members, Rachel Erlebacher, Stephanie Gold, Emily Gerson, and Sonia Haft, the four whom you just heard from. The nominating committee also nominated current board members Matthew Raskin, Randy Sadegor, and Renee Schmelzer to serve second terms. Please come up, those of you who are here. And two members of the executive committee, Andrew Lazaro and Kimberly Walker Vogel, have been nominated to continue with seats on the board.
Well, that's a lot.
That's a big group.
That's a big group.
Do I have a motion to elect the 2024 board officers and directors of Washington Hebrew Congregation? I so move. And a second? Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? Happily, the motion carries. Congratulations. I'd now like to invite those past presidents who are here tonight, and I know there's a lot of them, I've seen them, to join our newest board members and officers on the bema for the installation service. Washington Hebrew Congregation has been blessed for the past 172 years. May this historic congregation continue to serve God, the Jewish people, and our community with gentleness, kindness, and conviction.
We gather in front of the ark to install those who have been chosen to lead our congregation. The history of our people puts strong emphasis on the principle that individuals were chosen by God for specific roles of leadership. We believe that God's voice speaks to us in this generation. Our past presidents,
to be chosen by God is to be committed to a way of life.
to be chosen by the community is to realize that men and women are God's most special creation, and that service to God means service to humankind.
To be chosen by the community is to listen to the words others speak, to hear the words that go unspoken, and to respond.
To be chosen by the community is to stretch out one's hand to those in need of help and to the stranger who is homeless.
To be chosen is to stand up when others falter, to step forward when others hesitate, and to say, yes, I can to oneself, yes, I will to others.
To be chosen is to elect and to commit.
The things we do, the things we believe, and the manner in which we respond all determine our being chosen. We call upon the Board of Directors of our holy congregation to serve the Jewish people with love, leadership, and justice.
And if all would join me, we accept our responsibility as members of the Board of Directors. By this act, we acknowledge the miracle of our own creation and commit to furthering the mission of our temple. I do solemnly pledge to perform impartially, consistently, and with unyielding integrity, in accordance with Washington Hebrew Congregation Constitution, the duties of the office I now assume. I pledge to dedicate myself to these duties, upon which I ask God's blessing.
And let us all say together, Amen.
And we join together in thanking God for allowing us to reach this moment in time. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheanu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Serving as the 70th president of Washington Hebrew Congregation, I am here in part by an accident of fate that Hank Levine might say is destiny. My great-great-great-grandfather, Solomon Pribram, co-founded Washington Hebrew in 1852 and served as its first president. So following him, I am the 6th generation, my children are the 7th generation, and our grandchildren are the 8th. This makes especially meaningful that I am taking the baton in this virtual relay. As such, I have 3 responsibilities: to accept the baton and to maintain the pace and ideally gain momentum and advance. And finally, in 2 years, to hand it off, once again passing the baton of this valued line of succession with grace and hopefully without scaring the hell out of them, as I place the baton in Melissa Schwartz's capable hands. This is a team effort, and in a 172-year history, we pray there will be no finish line. Let me ask for a moment of reflection. On October 7th, Israel was savagely attacked. Hostages remain in captivity. The aftermath has affected us all, and every day increases our need to gather, to lead, and to learn. Last Wednesday, we studied the future of Judaism in America in this room and the devastating growth in global anti-Semitism. The panel and audience were exceptional. The extraordinary gathering revealed how much there is to do together. Paraphrasing President Kennedy in Berlin, tonight, we are all Israeli hostages. While we may have different views about the strategies of the war, we are united and steadfast in our Judaism. This congregation, our community, offers fellowship and comfort in tumultuous times. It is this idea of ensuring a safe place to be Jewish, to which I commit my energy and guidance for the next 2 years. In our safe place, we must educate our children. We must help our young professionals know their community and values. And we must continue our long tradition of leading our community and indeed our country with Jewish values and thought. We must build a culture of philanthropy to ensure we have a strong foundation for our community. Well, there's another reason I'm an unlikely president. I'm not a lawyer. My professional life is focused on entrepreneurship, building businesses. I like envisioning and creating roadmaps. A hockey legend, Wayne Gretzky, said, "Skate to where the puck is going to be, not to where it's been." In the 1980s, I helped create an online banking business before there was an internet. That led to an online photography business in the 1990s, followed by roles as a business strategist and investor. Then for the last 15 years, I've enjoyed building a renewable energy business. In the non-for-profit world as well, I've played a role helping organizations through growth and change at Cornell University, the Aspen Institute, the Washington National Opera, and the Shenandoah National Park, among others. The throughput in my career is to build enterprises for the future, often at a time of industry transition, taking advantage of new technology, policy, and financial opportunities, and doing so in a sustainable way. All of this applies to Washington Hebrew. Our future begins now. We need to build and ensure in a sustainable way that this synagogue rests on a strong foundation so that its future is bright. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, of blessed memory, advised that leadership begins with accepting responsibility. Sachs said, "At the heart of Judaism are 3 beliefs about leadership. We are free, we are responsible, and together we can change the world." I want to express my love and thanks to Lew Wiener. Zach, your dad was a mensch and a great leader. Elisa, he was the very model of caring and focus. Maimonides said there are 8 levels of charity. The highest is when you strengthen a man's hand until he no longer needs to be dependent upon another. Lew was a Maimonides acolyte. A man of passion, Lew led us through changes in leadership. Lew passed the Washington Hebrew baton strong and vibrant. Together we thank him for his extraordinary service and leadership. He is missed, and yes, he is mourned. Mark, thank you for your leadership and decades of friendship. Our personal collaboration through Lew's presidency and illness, and your exceptional words tonight, your leadership and nominations mean so much to me. Thank you to the clergy and staff and board for embracing and advancing our mission. My family and I have collaborated with Senior Rabbi Shankman and Senior Cantor Bortnick since they first arrived at Washington Hebrew 23 years ago. We go back even further, as Rabbi Shankman's grandfather married my sister Wendy's and my parents in 1956 in New York City. Rabbi Miller and I established a very close relationship in his first years at Washington Hebrew 13 years ago. and because I assisted in the selection of Rabbi Schmelkin and Fischel and Cantor Hamstra, I have a deep respect and admiration for our entire team. I also cherish my enduring relationship with former senior Rabbi Bruce Lustig and former senior cantor Misha Manovich. Executive Director Lindsay Feldman and I have collaborated since her earliest days as our communications director, then as assistant to Steve Jacober, and now as executive director. And I want to recognize an equally satisfying role with all of her senior staff. And as you just saw on the stage, what a board we have on the Bima. I look forward to work closely with each of you. The incoming executive committee has enthusiasm, which is infectious. And Melissa Schwartz, first vice president, as my partner, demonstrates, if you haven't met her, outstanding judgment, experience, and unmatched grace in every interaction. Team, let's get started. Our future begins now. You heard that in the invitation. Let's please work to implement 4 strategic goals to ensure we serve our members and fulfill our mission. First, Washington Hebrew must be a safe place to be Jewish, by which I mean physically, you heard something about that, but also to express and explore values, and safe to join in community. It has perhaps never been more important for Washington Hebrew to provide a safe and secure community for Jewish Washingtonians. A synagogue offers a place for prayer, community, and learning. Since World War II, American Jews have seen little distinction between their American, Jewish, and Zionist identities. After October 7th, each of these topics became up for discussion and reflection. We must build on the takeaways of the discussion last Wednesday night about the future of American Judaism to help each of us understand and form our personal approach to American Judaism today. Second, we must steward our next generation. Young people are our future. We need excellence in schools, programs for college students, for young professionals, and for members who are starting families. Let's ensure the needs of this vital community are met with creativity and with excellence. Education is the cornerstone of our future. Let's offer an excellent ECC, religious school, and programs. Third, we must lead the community of Jewish values and thought. Challenging times require bold thought. Washington Hebrew has led Washington Jewish community through war and peace, prosperity and depression, scientific and social discovery. Today's discussions require Jewish values and frameworks to help leaders communicate and formulate ideas. We have a valued seat at the table and must continue to serve the community through leadership. 1,500 people on Wednesday experienced a discussion on the future of Judaism at the very highest quality right here in this room. And over much of the past year, hundreds gathered every Monday night here at Macomb for education and intellectual engagement. These are hallmarks of the work and advancement offered by your synagogue. Finally, we must build our culture of philanthropy. Today, the Washington Hebrew community is defining what a culture of philanthropy means. We demonstrate this not only in our consistent support of our congregation, but in the many acts of generosity each of you undertake in your support of so many valued institutions in our community, in our country, and throughout the world. Through the traditional Jewish understanding of Tikkun Olam and the obligation of tzedakah, we create a superpower of generosity as we undertake a bold investment of ideas and institutions that improve our lives, our families, our community, our society, as we help heal the world. This culture of philanthropy expresses our commitment to engage in meaningful dialogue with each other and across communities about our personal, family, and societal values. The synagogue is a modern construct set to serve as a temporary alternative until our temple in Jerusalem is rebuilt. Beyond a place to pray and worship, a synagogue, our Washington Hebrew congregation, is home to communal exchange and engagement. It is the best of our faith in that it is the home to our tenets: study, prayer, community, and loving acts of kindness. I promise to serve in the best of our community, and as Mark and Lou and Nell and David and Meg and Sherry and Peter and Lauren, presidents with whom I have directly worked, and Hank and all prior presidents have taught, just as importantly, to learn through community engagement as we shape the future of Washington Hebrew congregation. In these tumultuous times for Jews in Israel, in America, and worldwide, our congregational community is a refuge, a home, and a laboratory for exploring how to meet challenges, to help ensure a more fulfilling community and a more just and accepting world, and more positive selves. As for tonight, thank you to Dan and Jamie and Lori and Lindsay and Ira and Margaret, who made tonight such a special occasion. Wowie wow. And thank you to my family. We're all here if you haven't met them. Thanks for being here tonight. You are my anchor, you are my love, you are my passion, you're my North Star. Each of you bring daily joy. Christy, you are my love and life partner of 45 years. Let me end by thanking everyone here for putting your confidence in me as president. I humbly accept the baton you gave me just now. From my heart, I accept this responsibility and for this honor to lead side by side in this sacred partnership with this team. I believe that the lessons of our individual and our collective ancestors, whose courage, generosity, inspiration, and can-do spirit defined them and imbued us with foundational values that this exceptional congregation, and it will guide us as we move forward from strength to strength. Our future is now. Please join me in a celebratory oneg outside. Thank you. I need to adjourn the meeting. We're adjourned.